Hi again everybody, it's only me, Wushu Richard, or Richard Clark. I want to say welcome again to Truth Debate. This is Truth Debate, and in this video we're looking at it again. We're looking at the origins of the universe and everything. Now please bear with me, okay? I'm in my kitchen here and I'm doing some cooking while I'm speaking to you, okay? So, you know, kill two birds with one stone, not literally. I've got my chopping board. It could be a whopping board. Bam! Boom! If I was fighting off enemies. Self-defense, I'm just joking. But yeah, you can't really see what I'm doing here, but I will be making a cup of tea. I will be slicing up meat and onions. I'm doing a simple cooking today, okay? Here. A simple meal for my lunch. But I'm going to talk to you about this. I mean, the origins of the universe. Again, okay? So it's really, really deep, and who am I to speak about the origins of the universe? Recently I've watched a lot of documentaries on science and these kind of topics, but I've also watched a lot of debates online. Namely, there are a lot of debates among religious groups. I'm not religious. I don't have a religion, okay, myself, okay? I don't have a strict religion as such. But I do have beliefs about the universe, and it's very, very deep, about life and the universe in general. I want to say hello to Chuck if you're watching, okay, bro? Hello to all my friends and subscribers, by the way. Hello all you guys. But I want to just say, some of us can be real deep thinkers, you know. And ultimately, though, all belief is honestly, what you believe is what you think is. It's just in your mind. I'm not saying that you can't be wrong or right, but I am saying that too. I'm saying the wrong or right is really nothing but just an attitude. You say, oh, I'm right, and you'll be happy. You say, oh, I'm wrong. Well, how dare you say I'm wrong? Am I right or wrong? Tell me, you know, this. No, that's just the wrong attitude. You see what I'm saying? Ultimately, the truth is what is. So if I say to you, I believe, you know, that there's a man standing behind the door. Now, if there really is a man standing behind the door, what do you say? You say, I'm right? No, it's got nothing to do with it. If there's really a man standing behind that door, it's got nothing to do with me being right or wrong. It just is. Okay? It just is what it is. So in terms of religions and gods and things like that, whatever it is, is. But I would never jump to assumptions and say, well, I believe this or that. You might say I'm being disregardful of the evidence, but you can also say, if there is any evidence to prove that, as some people say there is. Or you can say, well, it's lack of understanding. Or they're going to try to help me to understand and preach this to me and all the rest of it. But I'm just saying, okay, we don't really know who understands what more than another person. And it could just be a lack of that. And ultimately, you know, there are some people in the world, you've got like mental disorders, aren't there? Mentally ill things and different conditions of the brain. In fact, there are so many people in this world with different brains. It's quite, unless it's like visibly visible by a doctor or whatever on their brain on the brain scan, then, you know, unless it is like that, then it might be very, very hard to detect the condition of someone's brain or how many cells in a certain area, this and that, compared to another person's brain. Before you start looking at the way they think, or the thoughts, the knowledge, the actual experiences they've been through, the memories and all the rest of it, past traumas and stress, and whatever else has led them up to being that person in their personality and spirituality. But, please excuse me, okay, I'm looking at this meat while I'm cutting here, excuse me guys. I don't want to cut my dick off, you know, excuse my language, just saying, you know what I'm saying? I gotta be careful with that shit, you know what I'm saying? Cut me up some chicken, you know what I'm saying? I say, really, right? So what I'm saying is, though, I don't know, man. Who gives a fuck? You know, as I said, you know, someone's brain condition, as well as mine, their actual brain condition might be, you know, someone who's well learned, has a lot of knowledge in one section, They might say, well, you're ignorant because no matter how much I explain this to you, you still won't, you're stubborn. Then why don't you just regard that person as mentally ill? That will settle things, right? Just regard that person as maybe having something where they really find it hard to contemplate, to understand what you're saying. So we've talked about the mind here. We've talked about belief, okay? I've watched a lot of, these debates online with people debating religion, debating the beginning and the universe and all of that and where it come from. And the funniest one that makes me laugh, okay, is there's two things, okay. When people start saying that God, let's say for example, doesn't deserve an explanation, I don't know if they understand what they're saying when they say that. I've watched debates about religious people versus atheists. I'm not saying I'm a complete atheist. That's someone who doesn't believe in any God or anything like that. What I'm saying is I don't know. I only know from what I see, because I know that anything I think, I know that is only just what I think. Even if you read religious texts and all the rest of it, that's the proof. You believe in it, so you believe in it. You see what I'm saying? They say, well, it's the faith, it's the belief, that's what helps you connect. Maybe so. And if you make a mistake for this or that, then you're going to go to hell or whatever later on, because God's almighty and powerful, and you just don't know. Because he can't forgive you for your ignorance, or let's say your state of being, where you're trying to be positive and live a positive life, and communicate with others, but you see what I'm saying? Yeah? So, what I'm saying though is that some people say, that God doesn't require, an explanation of where he came from, what he's made out of, where he lived before he created the universe, and where blah blah blah, and the origins of his creator, things like this I could go on about, you know what I mean? And some people, even very clever people, will also say, well, no, that's human beings, Richard. In human language, always looking for more answers, always looking for less, but it's actually everything. God is everything, and that's all there is to it. Let there be light, and that's it, and the Big Bang, and all this. But look, to me, what I'm saying is, when I say God needs an explanation, I'm not saying that I believe he requires an explanation in human language terms. I'm saying not something to be uttered from the mouth. I'm saying something which is. And you say, well, it is what it is, Richard. It just is what it is. It needs to be worshipped. It needs to be understood, and that's it. I'm saying, let's put another argument. There's so many arguments you could put forward, and it's not argument, it's just saying, right? If I was to say to you, right, if I was to say, if I was to say to you, okay then, fine. Regardless of if there's an explanation or no explanation. How can that be? How can that be, you might say. If I say explanation or no explanation, okay then, fine. There's a God, and he created the universe, he created everything. If I said that, okay, I'm not trying to prove that there isn't. I'm not saying that, okay? I'll say, if there is that, okay, then, okay, where he is living, okay, in his place, I want to question that. I'm interested. Not because I want to question and prove my question on it and say, oh yeah, it isn't, is it? How could it be? I'm trying to prove that it's not true. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, isn't it amazing? Let's try and find out more about it. And you must say, well, we don't need to. Our simple life is this, and later we go to heaven. Right, well, we live on the earth now, and later on we go to heaven. Fair enough. But what I'm saying is, isn't it okay for human beings to use their brains the same as you would to study any text, book, a religious, book written? Isn't it sensible then, wise and clever, smart, to be, studying the world around us, studying this whole thing and everything we live in, to know more about it? Beautiful, isn't it? Even studying it, studying his wonderful works, studying him as such. Even if you say, well, no, Richard, because you're missing the point. Some people may even say, Richard, you're missing the point. it isn't as such that God is living in his own realm as such, or he come from somewhere. He has always been. He's the beginning, the end. He's the forever, the eternal. He is the it, everything. He is all. He is the Spirit, not in the form of a person as such, but it's everything. There's always been and always will be. You know, and about you're not going to get too complicated talking about yin and yang and nothing, you know, and all that and that. I'm going to get onto in a moment later on. But it's like, what I'm saying is that, okay, and he is all of that, well, let's study him. Why not? So it's okay to study this little puny world. Well, I don't want to say that in ignorant terms, but, you know, say ungrateful terms. But it's okay to study our little Earth, or the universe, but it's not necessary to study that, yeah? That's what studying means, asking questions and learning more knowledge. You know what I'm saying, yeah? I'm sure you do. I'm just saying that. So, let's worship him, and let's study more, you know, about this. That's what I'm trying to say, and that kind of terminology I'm trying to say. For example, you see, so, it doesn't matter if you are a religious person, you might say, well, it does matter. I'm just saying, it doesn't matter as such if you're religious or not religious or whatever. You believe in God or not. What I'm trying to say is, all of this is here. Life is beautiful. Life is amazing. We are here and we don't know everything. Do we agree on that? Yeah? Life is here. It's amazing. It's like a dream. It's beautiful. Whether it come from God, whether it come from aliens, whether whether we evolved from monkeys or atoms that came from another star, rock from somewhere in the galaxies, the speed of light, and then stayed on Earth and evolved into humans. Regardless of where we came from, we came from God, Adam and Eve, where we come from, whatever, you know, whether there's crosses or whatever. I'm just saying, all this is wonderful, it's beautiful. You know, I remember some people in the past saying it's like a dream. It could be someone's dream, this whole thing, or it's all fake. It's like the Matrix, you know. This world we live in, we think is true because we believe our senses and that. But regardless of what it is, this experience that we're all sharing, isn't it wonderful? If this is what you're living in this life, the way I'm experiencing my life here, whatever you're experiencing, I don't know. But isn't it wonderful? I'm not saying experiencing life like, oh, I just got a new job the other day, you know, or my car was stolen. I'm not talking about that, good or bad. That's the society and what human beings make. But, you know, Richard Dawkins, I'm a massive fan of Lawrence Krauss, Richard Dawkins, and a massive fan of great philosophers and stuff, and scientists in general. Some good people I like out there in the world, who are wise thinkers. But there's one guy, you know, Jacques Fresco, he's amazing too. But some of these people are talking on science level, some of them are talking on religious levels, some of these people are talking on just society and social levels and all the rest of it. Famous philosopher, my favourite, Laozi, he's called Laozi, okay, you know, who wrote the Tao Te Ching, my favourite, a Chinese philosopher of ancient China. You've got Confucius, people like that. More modern people like Will Smith. I think Will Smith's a great thinker too. People like Matty Stefanik, a young little boy who had a disease, condition, and he died, but he was such a loving person. So there's people in the world who are really great thinkers. I've met some people in life who are really, really great thinkers too, and deep thinkers. People who think very similar to me. Birds of a feather flock together, whatever, you know. We're talking about society in general, though. We're talking about society, so I mean, in human beings. Now, human beings, for many years I had the same attitude. You know, I said, well, we've got a blood body, blood and flesh and bone and all that. But the brain is amazing, isn't it? The brain, I was thinking, it's a meaty thing. But how we have this mind and that we can think, that's amazing. And the spirit inside, wow, that we're a spirit inside this body. And there are people now across the world that really believe in that still. But there was something along. I'm not saying I've become more and more doubting, a doubting person, but, you know, that sounds a bit too strong a word, even though for some part it's good to be doubting your beliefs sometimes. But what I've become more is more a question asking more questions to know more about this. The more you start to study something you think you know what it is, you start to learn more about it, or about the truth, right? And that's what it is in life. So what I'm saying, okay, is, excuse me, is what I'm trying to say to you is basically, it's beautiful. Now we understand more, because of science, we understand the brain, how the brain works. And I'm not going to give you a whole Richard Dawkins, Lawrence Krauss total speech here in my own words, you know, about the origins of the universe and everything. But I'm just trying to say about, you know, the brain and everything. I'm just trying to say, you know, you've got biology, chemistry, science, there's all kinds of elements of science, okay? You know, and cross subjects too and things like that. But what I'm saying is we understand the brain more now. We understand the brain waves, the electricity, you know, inside, you know, and the cells and all this. And that we're going down to a cellular level, okay? We're going down to that. Where zombie mutations turn into X-Men and cyber Robocops. I'm just trying to say, time travel, and you know, you can go into many different realms of the topic. You know, time travel, black holes. It all fascinates me. Sci-fi, you know, and all this, and parallel universes. I know people that believe in that stuff now. Reincarnation. It's all beautiful and amazing. It's just absolutely incredible to think of these things that people can come up with, or that what might really be. We just don't know. Karma and things like this in life, you know, the wheel of life. But what I'm saying is, okay, when you start studying things like the brain, for example, ultimately the brain is what controls our body. The heart is just a blood pump, really. It pumps blood around your body. So if you say, okay, well, the brain is what we think with. The brain is the actual thing that we think with. All our thinking comes from. That's who we are. And our personality and emotions lie in, really, although we say the heart. But then you say, okay, well, people say about spirit, you've got a deep spirit within the body. That could just be a belief, that could be true. But it's scientifically very hard to study, isn't it? People say that there are like electrodes and people who've done amazing things. There's some people that have like, it's called spontaneous combustion. People have burnt to death just suddenly, and they don't know, there's no cause, we don't know the cause for it. And even the chi or ki in the martial arts, the energy within the body, that's been actually looked at and picked up on different machinery apparatus, and it's been picked up on as a true thing. But it's like, is it chi, or is it the heat of the body, or whatever the fuck? You can never be 100% certain of anything, and this is what shuts human beings up all the time, I feel, even if you keep talking. The truth is what's true. It doesn't matter what you say or think. So let's go back again though to the brain. If we say, just for argument's sake, that there is no spirit in the body, and that all of the thinking, because the heart is the pump for blood in the body anyway, and all thinking comes from the mind, and the brain as such. That's what we should be saying. There's no spirit, and we say we've got a mind, and that's what it is. The mind is a spirit. And we say, okay, well then, and all this magic how it controls the whole body, really, even the things actually working. Life in general is amazing, obviously, on the physical and spiritual sea, because the blood's pumping around your body. And how is that happening? Why? You say, well, you can go back in history and study that, you know, from your parents and parents and parents. You have to go back to the beginning, the origins of life itself to know about that. But I believe in deep things, and this is what I believe in, a big question mark. That's what I believe in. Questions are better than answers anyway. But I'm just trying to say, you know, more questions are better than having more answers. But I believe on a deep level, and I've spoken to my good friend Chuck, hi Chuck, Crooked Ninja 5, about topics, and I'm going to get onto these topics now, because Chuck has been talking to me about some deep stuff. Haven't you, Chuck? And we were talking about like really good stuff like parallel universes and things like that, but meditation and like more so focusing on the self and the spirit and that essence. But I have told him, and I'm telling all you guys, you know, that I've got this belief more so, or this idea, I should say, about the universe and what it all is. Okay. As far as I can see at this stage in my life, because we're going through amazing stages. Sometimes things can go through a big changes suddenly, just like that, from a simple bit of learning. A lot of it's like gradual stage. You know, it's like if you're walking, you know, in a grass field, it takes steps to gradually get to the end of that grass field when you get to the concrete pavement again. But as soon as you do get to the end, after steps, gradual getting there, when you do step onto that concrete pavement, and you're not on the grass anymore. That's a major change, isn't it? And someone standing nearer to the street, and the other guy's standing in the middle of the field. But if the one who's standing nearer to the street, he will get a shorter distance, and he'll get that. So time and situations and position and angles can actually fool us sometimes. The illusions we give ourselves in life, don't forget. So this is why it's called truth debate. Okay, we're not debating if anybody's saying is wrong or right. We're just saying it's a truth discussion as such. You see what I mean? We're trying to see more, to be more. You know what I'm saying? Just in ourselves. Not necessarily. It doesn't mean necessarily by studying more we will see more. I think this argument can be put across in another way too. I think a lot of these religious people will also say scientists this. They will tell scientists, you see, you're never sure, you're always studying, you know, and you're never finding out what it really is, you know. They're trying to say come back to the reality of things. So that's what they're really right about. But I just believe there's a lot more to it than the current, the way people are seeing this. And I believe over history, although a lot of views on or within religions have not been changed, I believe there have been some drastic changes too, as in the way they're seeing the actual belief of the little God and the universe and this. So, not necessarily science influenced as such as the science and the subject, but say truth studying within themselves, without even studying that. Because ultimately, when you're studying the world around you and the universe, that's science, you're trying to find the answers, but it's like, studying within yourself is also because you're connected to all that. But it's a mirror, and learning goes both ways. That's why you have to learn from both sides. The same as when you want to understand another person. You understand yourself more to understand another person. A religious person might say, if you want to understand God more, you've got to understand yourself more, and understand yourself more, understand God more, and all the rest of it, and all this. And like anything in life, the size of a magnet, and it's all true, and it's all there. That's science again. So science is basically just a subject name for this thing. Ultimately, we're talking about truth and studying truth. But as I've said to you before, the only way we can study things and think about things and do is in a human way. The only way we can study or understand anything in is in a human way. And you say, well no, come in contact with God, you come onto a God way, you know, a God level way of thinking. And although we can't, because we're under Him, we need to follow. And there's a lot of open spaces and holes in it, the same way as there is in science. The science says they don't know. With religious people, they say they do know, and they've got there's no backing up of it or anything. They say, well, they've got enough evidence to prove, and that's all they need. But whatever, I'm just saying this again. I never said that there's not a God or whatever. I'm not saying I doubt it. What I'm trying to say is it could. I'm going to get to my point in a minute. I believe it's all one thing. We could be the very brainwaves of God. I know it must sound crazy me saying this. Because we're thinking of God, you know what I'm saying? We're thinking like some kind of king, a protector of the kingdom, who created it in his vision. You see what I'm trying to say? This is what people really believe. There's wars going on in the world because of this. But I'm going on a science term. You've got to study, they might say you've got to study science in a godly term to understand God, how that works into truth. But you said if you want to understand science more, you've got to study it, if you want to understand God more, you've got to understand that in a scientific way, so study that. And make sure that it connects as all one. How are you supposed to connect with God if you know? Because you are a living organism, you're part of science, right? But you say no, you're an actual being that was created by God, and it's all a wonderful thing. Then what you've got to do is you've got to combine the whole thing and say that's what it is. It's all this wonderful, amazing thing. But if the thing is, did we come from that or whatever? The same way they say, you know, do you have a mother? Yeah, you come from your mother, obviously. So yeah, this and that. But what I'm trying to say, right, is this. What I'm trying to say, okay, is like this. I know the people out there who's heard enough of that probably of this from other people's mouths. But I'm just saying this, right. What I'm trying to say is this. Get it out, Rich. Come on, Rich. Tell me. It's like this. It's cooking here. Sorry, guys. Chopping up vegetables and stuff. If you look at it another way, you can see more clearly what I'm trying to say. Or at least my vision. Regardless if it's wrong or right. The mind is like the spirit ultimately of the body. If you say that, if let's say for argument's sake, if you say there's no body, there's no spirit, there's only the mind, and that is the spirit, it controls the whole body. If you say that, I'm just saying, for example, if you say that, okay, if you say it in such a way like that, okay, hold on 1 second, okay. Shit, man, what the fuck's that? Hold on, man, I'm back in a moment. Yeah, hold on 1 second, man, I don't like that. Fuck, man. Hold on, guys, I'm just cutting up the shit here. Just cutting up vegetables and stuff. Yeah, whatever, man, it's alright. What I was just saying, though, basically, right, like this. If you truth debate, right? If you're joining us on truth debate, we're in the kitchen, I'm just talking to you about the origins of the universe. You know how it is. Kung Fu Pala, yin yang, man, ain't nothing to fuck with you. I won't take nothing to fuck with you. I'm saying though, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's like, if you said the mind, is the very spirit of the human being, right? If you said the mind, and there is no spirit, there's just a spirit, you know. If you want to say that there's only the mind, then you've got to study that. And you say, well, where does that come from? How does a brain work? Because in the beginning you say, well, the mind's amazing, isn't it? It's this thing you can't see, but it's not an actual thing. It's only a brain, really. And the brain, how does it work? Okay, the brain is sending electrical signals from its different cells and neutrons and protons and whatever we know from that. You know, you talk about going smaller and smaller and smaller, so they split the atom, it explodes, and you know, we know that. But it's not, you can't go any smaller. No, you can. You go smaller and smaller and smaller. We just don't know, because we don't have the technology to cut smaller than we have already cut down to size. We can always go further, you know, bigger or smaller. You see what I'm saying? This is the amazing thing. The answers, the questions without answers at the ready. You know, so it's quite hard to know. We can't know. How far can we go to the small or the big? We haven't got the technology to do that, including space and time. So time, beginning and end. Where did that? No, was it always never or always forever? And always, is there an infinite size, small or big, into the universe going on forever? These things, until we know, I think if we did know, then we'd have a lot more answers to what it's all about. But it's just so hard for us to contemplate as human beings, and all we do is use our limited technology and ideas based upon what we've already discovered. That's all we have to study within this small little thing. Haven't you ever thought this whole universe, how infinitely big it might seemingly be, could be smaller than the smallest little atom, smaller than that, you know, the smallest thing, the things we haven't even yet discovered? That somewhere on the outside of all this, we might be just one little small atom in the whole makeup of something even bigger. So what I'm trying to say, okay, let's go back again. It's all like energy waves. The smaller you cut down, even light, breaking that down and things like that, it's actually waves of energy. They say even the fabric of space itself and the universe can actually be measured like in waves and things like that. It's not straight. And they say it's expanding and growing, and it's not completely straight. It's like it's changing and bending, and they say there's things like wormholes and things and parallel universes and things like that. So it's an actual thing, and it's actually made up. You've got gravity and forces and things in nature, so which are different powers and other kinds of materials. We know liquid, gas, and solid, but there's things that we still haven't heard of, and things out there which would blow us away if we ever knew of them. There's things more amazing than time and space, I believe. If we were to believe that's the end of it, time and space is everything, and stones and rock in space and gravity and that's it, and water and gas, then we're going to not get anywhere. The same way as you might believe there's a flying monkey in the sky who's created us, and we are what it all is. When it's so big, but we don't know. It could be that. But I would say anything's possible, and there's things out there where you've got to admit, anyone's got to admit that there's things that we don't know about. But what I'm trying to say, okay, is like this, okay? So we've gone to the fabric, the very fabric of everything, light itself, and dark, and all of that. And we're studying that. How do we cut those waves down? Let's take the fabric of light, cut that down into whatever it's made up of, and cut that down and find out what that's made up of, and find that and that and that. You might cut down to find new things to what it becomes. You know, you cut water down, it becomes gas, air, O2, whatever, you know, and you know the terms for it and that. But it's like you're sort of trying to say. I'm just trying to say that. You know, it's like you cut a piece of cheese up, you cut it down, and you keep finding cheese, don't you? Just smaller and smaller pieces of cheese. But you go right down, and then you end up getting milk and whatever out of it, and dairy. But you know, you see what I'm trying to say. So if you're talking about the fabric of that, you're talking about fabric of electricity or whatever. I'm not the most high level intelligent scientist here. I'm just saying terminology, bro. Everybody, okay? I'm just saying. If you're talking about the way the mind works, then it's electrical signals reacting off of different parts of the brain, which are made up of different arrangement of atoms, protons, neutrons, and all the rest of it. When they say that everything is actually made up with the same thing, it's just a different arrangement. People have been saying for years now, you know, that you are made up of the same very stuff that a tree is made up out of, or anything else. So that is pretty amazing. So it's the actual arrangements that we're talking about, not you and a car and a tree and an animal. We're talking about all these things being exactly the same material, literally, scientifically studied, or whatever I say, yeah? And we know that it's just a different arrangement that gives off different effects of, you know, that creates what they are, holding these things together, and how the electrodes work off of those, which are ultimately, that's how our thoughts are projected. You don't turn on a television set or a projector and say, that's magic. How are those images and the sound? How is that so? Ultimately, what we've created is a machine-type human thing. By creating a radio or a computer or a TV, we're ultimately trying to create something that can create sounds and images, just like the human mind can. You see, the brain, which is giving us the so realistic feeling and impression that we have this spirit within us, or a mind that's unseeable, it's this magical force. The same way as if you were like exercising your body, flowing your arms, doing movements, martial arts and moving, you might feel that you have this magical chi flowing body, but it's actually your blood in your body and your molecules in your skin. I've always questioned myself on that. Even though I do certain exercises too, which I want to say hi to Chuck again, okay, talking about the magnetic exercises and the chi ball and tai chi and all that, and qigong exercises. I love all of that, okay, don't get me wrong. And I respect different methods people like to do, like yoga and meditation and stuff like that too. But when you're talking about meditation, there's different types of meditation. There's bullshitting, and then there's good meditation, but then there's stuff also where you have to ask yourself, can you really think of nothing? Can you do that? When you're thinking of nothing, I'm thinking of a tunnel of a golden crystal floating through it as I float over a river, and I'm thinking nothing. What colour is that nothing? Even if you're thinking nothing, what are you seeing? The colour white or black? You're thinking of something. And you can't tell me at one point, even when you're like in that deepest level of the deepest depths of meditation, anybody out there, I'm just saying, yeah? You've got to admit, sometimes, it's kind of shit now, you've got to admit that sometimes, you know, there are points where you have to ask yourself, oh yeah, I'm in a real deep point here. And when you're thinking in meditation, is there any words being uttered? When you see the crystal in front of you, don't you hear the word crystal in your mind? The word crystal? That's English, isn't it? Or is it another language you're speaking, or what? So you're thinking something, you can't be thinking nothing. You say, well yeah, I'm focusing on what I want to focus on. You want to be focusing on a forest of trees and the purple pink sky in your mind, relaxing and thinking about that. Focusing on something, right? You can call that meditation if you want. But ultimately you're putting yourself in another place at another time, you're trying to, but you're still here on planet Earth ultimately. You're just controlling your emotions in some way while sitting in the position. Some people get into awkward positions and try and force themselves so it becomes kind of comfortable, or make it believe to be. It's a kind of self-hypnosis. It's a kind of what's that all about? It's a kind of you know, it's a kind of believing, a state of self-control in some weird way. It's just causing people to act or inact in weird ways. Whereas, you know, you can be true to yourself and relax. And when you go to sleep, I believe that's the most natural hypnosis of all, the most natural meditation of all, because you're actually feeling that. You're actually feeling that. You know, you're feeling nothing. You're just falling asleep comfortably, and the mind just thinks. You don't think how to think every day, do you? Even when you're sleeping or when you're awake, your thoughts just flow naturally. That's who you are. It's amazing, this organism is the human body. If we do have a spirit in us, well, great. The mind, great. You know, what I'm trying to say is that the evidence, you can't always trust the evidence of the evidence, you know. The guy was carrying a gun. Okay, he was the killer. But where did the gun come from? You know, and someone put that in his bag. So you've got to study the evidence and go to the route and go follow the route like a path that leads back to somewhere. You know, you follow your life back as far as you can and you'll get to your mother. You know, but you want to know more about it, you've got to follow that. So what I'm saying is we don't really know. I'm doing my cooking, okay, guys? I'm doing my cooking here. Bear with me, okay? I'm just cooking up here, okay? Bear with me, okay? You know, what I'm saying is we don't really know how on earth we are going to know everything as such. When you get to know everything, that would be kind of amazing, won't it be? To know how far the universe goes on, everything and nothing. As I've said before, everything is nothing and nothing is everything, I believe in. And along with the philosophies of yin and yang, okay? Constant flow of everything and nothing, never and forever, the time and space and all that. You don't know what's the smallest, it always goes down, 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 and it always goes bigger and bigger and bigger, you just don't know. You can't put it into words even clearly, so I'm saying in any language. But you're asking a question, how are you asking it? You're answering a question, how are you answering it, when and how and where, and how many possibilities are there? Do you believe there are more possibilities than impossibilities as long as you keep asking questions in your mind? Can somebody else ask another question or answer differently? Yes, they can. Do you see what I'm saying? So, ultimately, I'm not bullshitting around saying studying is the way, or in a certain way, or saying that no studying is the way. No. What do you do if you want to know something? If you don't want to know, you won't know. And that's all there is to it. So I'm doing my cooking here, okay? Cooking up some fried pork and broccoli, and Chinese stuff. Okay. Okay, hold on 1 second. I'm gonna wait a while. I'm gonna turn it off for a quick second, and I'm gonna do the rice now because I just forgot to get my rice cooking on this mother effer. So excuse me, what was I saying? Going back to what I was saying, I forgot to do the rice, man. What a dumbass. Hold on, y'all. Yeah. So hold on 1 second. So as I was saying, yeah, basically, so the mind is something that can be studied for electrons. So all we've done, basically, what I'm trying to say is all we can do to know, what we have, to be more in tune with all of it, God, the universe, as one thing, which I'm sure is connected, right, in some way. Even if you say emotionally, that's still connected in some way. It's all affecting everything. It's all directed by something. It's a kind of deeper science than the science that people think they know about now. There's things that are beyond the black holes, things like that in the universe. There's things that are beyond the fabrics of whatever they think they can study, light or whatever, let alone the origin of where that come from, what stars or whatever. No. It's like you have. Hold on 1 second. It's late on. It's afternoon now. Doing my cooking. Hold on. It's like. Hold on, man. The fabric itself. Hold on 1 second, and I'll talk about the fabric itself. Hold on 1 second, right? Hold on, wait. Wash this rice just quickly. Yeah, sorry guys, I was saying yes, it's like the fabric of life, life itself, basically. I've got a bucket of water, hold on. the fabric of light, the fabric of everything and nothing is what I'm trying to say. The fabric of whatever you want to study. And what's beyond the fabric? Can you imagine that? You say, oh, that's ridiculous, Richard. But is it ridiculous? I'm speaking about something that cannot be seen yet. But people speak about, there's people that speak about gods in such a way too. So what I'm trying to say, okay, is basically, you know, we can only study the fabric, we can only study the light, the protons, the neutrons, and all that, to study our meat, our body, you know, and the physical. It could be the stars, it could be the fabric of light and space and time, or whatever you want to study, right, in the universe. But until, you know, we understand where that's coming from, you know, what's beyond all of that is what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? So it's really deep. It's really, really deep. So that's basically my view on this whole thing. Is that it's all connected in some way. It's all made up out of something, right? And what I'm going to go to is the beginning of that. It's not that the Big Bang was the beginning of everything. In my point of view, where was the Big Bang? Where was the Big Bang? Where did it happen from? From what? And where was it? Not in the universe. Now, outside something much bigger, right? It's like those dummy little toys you have, what's it called, the dolls, one inside the other, bigger and bigger, or smaller and smaller, in which direction you're going, like the human mind sometimes. What I'm trying to say is like, if you go back to the beginning before, you say, well, there was nothing, you know, like Lawrence Krauss was saying, or Richard Dawkins, there was nothing, right? There was nothing at all. You see what I'm saying? You know, sometimes people say nothing matters, life's meaningless, it matters not. It matters to us because we have human emotions. They say like, it doesn't matter, there's no matter to it, there's no reason for anything like that. It's natural selection and whatever. You in terms of morphing or equal evolving of species and things like that. And they say, well, why are there still monkeys then? Well, that's just ridiculous thinking. There are different kinds of monkeys and things like that. So what I'm trying to say though is like, you go back in the past and you say, like, Lawrence Krauss was saying there was nothing, absolutely nothing. What I mean by that is, to me, I don't believe that nothing could be nothing. What is nothing? Even if you say nothing, it's still something, you know what I mean? There's got to be some kind of energy there. There's got to be something. Okay? The question, if we want to question our solar system or even our planet or our universe and that, we want to know where we came from. And if that's the earliest we can go back or choose to, you know, you might go back to, you know, Jesus Christ, or you might go back to, you know, whatever you want to do, but you might go back to, okay, Lawrence Krauss's time, saying when there was no time, no space, nothing, and there was nothing. But I'm saying there's got to have been some energy or something there. In my point of view, one of my guesses would be, my rough guess, one strong guess I might have, but it's not to say that, it's still 50-50, what I'm trying to say. There was still some energy, there was something there that just has not been studied, or we can't imagine, maybe never even, or maybe it'll be hard to imagine, you know, a way how to study, think up about that without evidence, like anything is, you know, in life anyway. The truth's right in front of our eyes anyway. But you know what I mean? That such energy that, you know, is like, seems to be nothing, you know, but is something there. Okay then, so we establish this then. We go right back to Lawrence Krauss's thing, you know, like something from nothing, yeah? Like Richard Dawkins, when they were saying about, you know, there was nothing in the beginning and something started off. We've got two questions then. Not to make it more complicated in one question, but two questions for us, haven't we? That's what we've got. One question is quite simply, what was that? That nothing, regardless of if that nothing itself, the nothing, with no time, no space, this space, you know, this thing, no time, no space. This thing, okay, hold on. No physical matter, no nothing. I'm losing, hold on. If that nothing was actually something, there was something there, or if there was really nothing there, then this thing, which is still a thing, this phenomena, this anomaly, whatever, this thing, where did that come from? What was the origins of that before? Was it always like that and that too? So it's kind of ridiculous. It goes on forever and ever. It's like we're living inside a mountain with no hole in it, and we don't know anything. We're living under the earth, and we never knew there was a surface. It's like that, or like fish in the sea, and they can't imagine what's above the sea. Yeah, you know. So that's what I'm trying to say to you. Someone's a living organism so deep in the depths of the seabed, the ocean depths, you know, in pitch black darkness. They would never imagine what's out there, you know, above the sea, you know, in the world, it's above the sea level, so in the sky. So it's like so far beyond. How will fish in the centre of the earth, fish in the shit, man, and the turtle on my fucking head. I'm trying to say it as a ninja. How will fish in the deep depths of the ocean know about the solar system? You might say, well, they might know everything, Richard, they just can't tell us. It's possible, you see what I'm saying, yeah? So let's go back again, right? That's the first question then, so to Lawrence Krauss and Richard Dawkins' theory there. If there was really nothing, then what was this, and where did that come from? Even if the nothing is actually made out of something, or if it's made of nothing. It might sound too hard for people to contemplate what I'm saying here, but this is my deep thoughts on this thing. There's no limit, is what I'm saying, the same way as they would say too. So what I'm saying is like, you know, if that's the way, if that's the case, you know, then where did that come from and everything, and what's its origins, and study that. You've got to study that, the before, in and after, and its origins, and study the actual originating of that and where that came, and everything. But not because you have to, but it's there. What's there is there, right? It's the same way as you say you don't need to question God, but you might say it's there. Well, it's there. It is the explanation. You say, well, exactly, Richard, you don't need to ask questions then, do you? I'm saying it is. You say every explanation is something made up of loads of questions. You might say, well, no, that's where he's unique, Richard. He doesn't need to. As long as you can give me that answer, certainly, you know, then great. But I'd rather hear it from someone who understands the thing, rather than someone who don't understand. Because there's second-hand information, you know what I'm trying to say? Again. Now, that's why you say you trust, you know, that's why, if not, then why do we have laws and evidence and witnesses and things? You just believe the criminal straight up, wouldn't you? You know, you believe the victim, wouldn't you? I should say, that's a good way to say it, you know what I'm saying, yeah. What was actually viewed, you know, what was actually seen, I should say. What I'm going to say, okay, like this, okay, look. Believe the one, you know, who talks about himself rather than someone talking about him, you know what I mean? That's what I say. Someone who knows themselves better than the other person, right? You say, well, sometimes we don't know ourselves. So now you're trying to argue with me, or you're trying to quote God for not understanding himself. You say, well, no, he just doesn't need to answer you, Richard. There's like people who want to follow. Isn't that kind of ignorant too? Is it blind ignorance? You say you respect, but you don't want to totally follow. You don't want to totally follow, you know anything more about him and understand more. You say, you know, isn't that ignorant? But you say that, you know, I want to know, you know, and you say, you know, that's also ignorant in a way. I should just respect blindly. So I'm just saying, right, God, regardless if there's a God or whatever the hell, regardless if there's a God or it's all it's all part of science the way I see it. It's all part of the truth, the universe, and what it is. Okay, I'm just saying, okay, if doing this, cooking this rice here, I'm going to do it. Taking time talking to you. But it's like. That's the first thing then, okay, this nothingness I'm saying, this nothingness, this space of nothing, or in this period of time, even when there was no time and matter or space or anything I'm saying, it was like nothing. And Lawrence Krauss is saying, and Richard Dawkins, that's the first question then, we start to question that itself and its origins and what was before that and after that. Before that and, you know, what and that and all about that. The second thing I'm going to ask, okay, if you want to just go far, if you want to go as far back as that, and say, okay, we just stop there because we're getting tired now. Just stop there and say, okay, that was the beginning. That was before the beginning. You know, that's the only thing we need to go to. You know, we're on the bookshelf in the library. We've got 2 books. We go from the last page of the book, the back cover, all the way to the front cover, and that's the end. We don't need to go to the next book standing beside it, and the line of 1,000,000 books, you know, beside 10 more libraries. And you don't need to, you know what I'm saying? It's ridiculous. You exhaust yourself as a little human being. Just believe it and just shut up, yeah? But, you know, carry a gun around with you. So what I'm trying to say is, like, it's really what it is, though. So what I'm trying to say is, if you say, okay, let's go back there then, and we say, we don't need to question it, Richard, that first question was ridiculous. Okay, we just go back to the time when there was nothing, like Richard Dawkins and Lawrence Krauss said, okay, and then suddenly sprung into life by whatever we don't know yet. We're still studying, as they say, we're still trying to know, you know, nobody knows and want to know how suddenly something came from nothing and started to come. And that's the question. How did that come about? And will studying how that come about help us to understand what the actual nothing was? I think yes, because the journey someone has made will give you an idea to where that person has come from. Someone who's made a long journey very far, you know, and for this, you know that person maybe come from poverty, they want to fight in their life to get more money and more better survival for their family. So you say it's the same thing. So, yeah, it would. But it's all this thing. So what I'm saying is, people, another thing I want to say, okay, and it's a very long video, people talking about the life. They're saying it's very hard for us to find life on other planets. I mean, is there life on other planets, they're saying, in other parts of the universe? Is there life? It would be very hard, it would be very impossible for us to imagine life only on our planet Earth. Well, this is what I'm saying to you, okay? I've always believed the same thing. I believe that maybe there's life out there. There's got to be on planets far away in the universe, or even things which are not balls, even not like planets even though, but things like planets, you know, places out there in the world where so in the universe, or the universes, or parallel universes, if there are, I would say, whatever, you know, there are other places with living forms of aliens, alien life forms, again, more life out there in the universe. But they also say that life might come in different shapes and sizes and forms, and it might not be the kind of life that we expect to see, be it small or big, or the state of what it actually is, its physical state, you know. It could be like a little molecule thing, it could be massive like a dinosaur, it could be something that represents a rock, it could be something that represents a swirling thing like a black hole. That could actually be the life. It could just be out there in the universe itself. You just don't know. It could what form it might be in, even if in a form that as we can imagine any kind of form or something we can study. Now what I want to say is this: life, we might be just the one planet in the universe that's got life, like this. And let's look at it a different way. We are looking in the human terms, life and death. Some religions talk about the death in a spiritual for your life and death. But I'm saying you've got life and death as we see it from our muscles and when they, you know, die and all the rest of it. Even in human terms, in language, we talk about the deaths of stars and things. But I'm talking about the life and death, right? You talk about where life come from, when life sprang into being. Even this whole study of our evolution, going back and studying the molecules in the water bubbling up and where life came from. Even this could be pretty pointless. We want to know more about ourselves, but it's kind of ridiculous, isn't it? It's kind of the same question, like me, okay, I'm not a father, I don't have a child yet. Maybe I will in the future, and I will love my child. And I think it's great to carry on the family name and continue. But it's kind of, apart from you loving your child and that, it's kind of pointless in a way, I was thinking, because people want a child, but it's like, they want it, when we are dead, that child is, we don't know anything about what's going on in the world, unless we have a spirit looking down on them, of course. And for that chance, you might feel it's worth doing. But to carry on, you know, so what I'm trying to say is, going far back to beyond our existence, and far after our existence, and before our existence, or life, then what's the point of all this? if it's not going to mean anything to us, or we're not here and we don't have a mind or a spirit to think about it, if we don't. But you say it's worth taking a chance, so fair enough, and it makes our life happy while we're here, so let's do it. But creating a life is quite an amazing thing, and I think everybody's life is an amazing thing. But in this way, it's kind of like we're all connected, isn't it? Because like from the first human beings until now, whatever. Or do you think there were different Adams and Eves in different parts of the world, or galaxies that come together? I'm just trying to say, you know, times people jumping from parallel universes and things like that. I'm a big fan of the film, you know, The One with Jet Li. Plus we know about the Matrix and all the philosophy in that. But let's go back to what I was saying, okay? You know, beam me up, teleportation, you know, Star Trek, The Next Generation, and slightly different but the same thing, you know. So what I'm saying, okay, is like when you study, you know, everything, it becomes so deep. And what I'm saying with life, it's kind of amazing. Life, we only study life in our living way, you know, and as a human being, as an animal, as a thing. So if we think back, we think deeply, and try to be scientific, but we think back and we think reality terms. What do we know about reality? Only our own reality. Right? If you go back and study, you've got patience to watch this video and listen. Thank you guys. You know, I wouldn't have patience to listen to me rambling for so long. I don't think we'll see. You know, but it's just my thoughts, and I don't think people have spoken like this enough out there in the world. I've spoken about everything in this video. I've spoken about meditation. I've spoken about you've got to find the truth in your life and what it means to you, but that's in terms of society, in terms of what life means to you on a spiritual level, or even in whatever term you're saying spiritual, be it on the biology side or the true spiritual side, whatever. So, you anyway, each individual, each human life is wonderful and to be valued as we see it. It's the same as morality. We all know moral because we know pain. If you see somebody getting beaten up, you know what that feels like to you. You wouldn't want it to happen to you, so we feel pain. We've got emotions and things like this we connect with. But ultimately, it's all science. A piece of metal chopping someone's head off is ultimately just some molecules and atoms will make this blade, cutting through other atoms and molecules and protons and neutrons in a piece of meat, flesh and bone that is, you know, if this was a piece of meat here, like when I'm cutting a piece of meat up that I'm cooking here, it doesn't have any thought, does it? It doesn't have any mind to it as such. You know what I mean? It's just a piece of meat. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's not like it's got a mind thinking about it and pain. It's going to cry and or be afraid. And it doesn't. So you see what I'm trying to say? But if there was two pieces of meat here, they wouldn't feel sorry for each other, would they? If I was chopping up one, the other one wouldn't think anything. But it's got a mind. So moral is part of our mind, part of our that. And when we start looking at laws and society, it becomes really complicated. And this and that. But let's go back to life again, though. I was saying like different forms of life in the universe, and we're talking about the actual origin of life on our planet and where that comes from. We're saying some people have believed for years, it's one way only, but it's like bubbling up in the water and the little molecules coming from the water, and they become bigger forms, and they become fish or whatever. Then they come out onto the land, and then you've got flying ones and bigger and smaller. Some had hair, some like more reptilian or whatever. But what I'm saying is like we are studying this kind of thing of life, this kind of life. There are different kinds of life in the universe, maybe far out there, maybe far out. Planets like ours, maybe on planets that are not like ours. And I've said maybe stuff out there that's like a black hole, but that's actually something like a black hole, but it's actually a form of life. Maybe light itself is life, a living thing. You just don't know it. But then we say, what is a living thing? Do you mean, what is life? On a matrix level again, now communicating. What is life? It's something that can understand itself. That's how we do it. What terms for it? Something that can understand what it is. It knows itself. It has an awareness about itself, and it can act upon its own accord. This is life. Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. But what I'm trying to say is maybe there's things that are not other things which it could be life. Life is just everything we think of. Everything. Love, hate, desire, justness, and moral. You know, immorality. It's all just our own thoughts, even life itself. So we're just like this reacting thing, this electrons, protons, and all the rest of it, put together and make flesh, and our minds moving and reacting in different ways that make us think and see through our eyes. And it's like an illusion of everything. As they say, like Richard Dawkins was saying, like, you see what I'm saying, yeah? It's exactly what it is. So, if we're saying that, if this wonderful phenomenon, this amazing thing, is like that, fair enough, we might be all created by a God, and this might be a wonderful, beautiful dream, too good to be true, and this could be life, and it could be too good to be peeing around like I'm doing here. Maybe it could be really, really true, and life is beautiful, and to me it is. And no matter what it is, life is beautiful, and we do love it, and we make the most of it. That's what it is, you know. But what we're trying to, in our human way, and that's how we can do it as humans, and that's what makes us unique, and we're like one race. But what I'm saying is that, it's great, but what I'm trying to say is, if you do go back though, and you say, you know, studying from the water in the beginning, you know, where did water come from? 100 plus say, yeah, where, you know, people, where the living organisms came from in the water, you know, that's one kind of studying of life. You see what I'm saying, yeah? But we're talking about life. This is the problem. We're looking for, is there life in the universe? Where did life come from? Life, life, life. We're so stuck on this topic. We don't stop to think. It's not life. I believe life is just one part, one kind of reaction, one kind of arrangement of protons, neutrons, electrons, all the atoms that give an illusion as such. All of this really is just an energy, a matter, and that's what has been truly proven in science too, and that by, you know, because we're talking about the biology side on the body, but we're talking about science on the fabric of all the energies of the waves of space and all in time and space and all that. Light and sound is just stuff we interpret the way it is, and we just interpret things the way we do and receive it the way we do through our senses. That's all we can do, and we're just simple little beings. But it's like, you go to it, you know, and look at it really, you see what I'm saying? All the things we come up with, all these like pictures, all these things we imagine, like aliens and stuff, or all these things we think, even teleportation and how to do that, and time travel, it's kind of fucking ridiculous. Our whole picture of the universe, and you know, let alone talking about just the Big Bang or whatever else, but our interpretation, our understanding, what we think we know of this and that, and the origins of this and that, and things we just don't know, are just kind of unbelievable. It's like the more we know, the less we know, the more we would know. If we were to know more, what the hell would we learn about our life? Because if you think it's all centered about your life, and if it's not, I'm saying, then it's not. So we only live one life. We've got to live it to the full and live it to the healthiest possible. So I'm saying, if you say life is not the thing, you've got like no life or life. You know, for example, yeah, you just got the universe, and where is life? Let's look for it. You know what I mean? Let's look for a candy in a haystack. You know what I'm saying? For example, yeah, you're looking for a candy, you don't even know if it's there. You know, just because your body is made out of candy, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying, yeah? You know what I'm trying to say, yeah? You know what I'm trying to say, though, yeah? You walk into a horse barn, a barn full of horses, and you're looking for a human being in there. You might just find horse shit and horses. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Looking for gold coins, a leprechaun or whatever. It's like, it's amazing, you know what I mean? UFO, what the fuck, you know what I'm saying? Well, the technology is so far superior to ours, it's got to be, you know. They're going to travel all the way here. Our technology, what does technology mean? That's a human terminology. A house, what's that? That's something we build for ourselves. Birds build nests and we say it's homes for them. It's not really, it's a comfortable, they're trying to set it up to put their thing. What you might say people do, they keep warm because of the cold weather. Fair enough, you know, they haven't got heavy fur. They build themselves little holes and things in the ground. It's not like what we're doing, though. It's survival. It's the way we study life and that, you know. But fish are floating in the sea all the time. Some animals have got like eyes that are constantly open. Some have got eyes that can open and close. Different forms of life. But what I'm trying to say is, you're talking about life as in organisms as we see it on this planet, walking in the water and walking on the land and flying with hairs on or whatever, fur. That's different. I'm talking about going back to, if you say the truth of everything. We're living organisms, yeah, flesh and bone, but so if you go and say, not life as such, don't be looking for life or saying that we're amazing, we're unique because we're life on here in the universe. If you say, no, it's all energy waves, including light, you say, wow, look at this starlight. Is there this light coming from this star is amazing. Let's give a name to this light. Let's call it life. Okay, for example, yeah? Let's look in the universe if there are any more stars now, if there are any more, if there's life out there. You know, basically what we mean is light. For example, yeah? You see what I'm saying? You might be amazed if you find more. We say, yeah, we found aliens. You know what I'm saying? Well, this piece of shit, you know, or this piece of, you know what I'm saying, or a rock. So I'm just saying, looking for things, trying to associate things with what we already see in our created human world, or from what we are. Looking for what we are outside of you. Looking for humans underneath the sea, almost. You know what I'm saying? For example, it's ridiculous, right? I know stingray. It's like, you know. So you see what I'm trying to say, though, yeah? I'm just saying that. I'm being realistic. So it's all waves of energy, let's say, and this is all one amazing thing. Regardless of time and space, there could be travelling parallels and things we can't see or be on there, or in terms of sea, I'm saying. With parallel universes, time tunnels, portals, time, I don't know what you call it, wormholes, teleportation, this and that, crossovers, accidents happening all over the place. There could be deliberate things, there could be God, there could be numerous gods, there could be numerous galaxies battling against each other or smashing into each other, flowing. We just don't know what this amazing sea, this infinite ocean seemingly of all of this is that we're in. We just don't know. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't know how much anyone will understand what I've just said here, but all we're studying is from what we are, our flesh, bone and body and mind, the brain, with the electrodes and stuff, you know, going through it. But it's like electrons, you know, whatever, you know, all that, you know, giving us an illusion. But we might have a spirit, we might have a mind, there might be things we can't see, the same way as there really might be a God, there might be a creator, there might be an intent that God created houses, you know, a castle, no, it created, I don't know what, the forest, so that you can find the woodlands and find the firewood, and God has made this baby born in the forest because, you know, he's going to know how to create a house for himself and build it out of wood. You can say whatever you want beautifully. You might say people painting beautiful pictures, and they say they're inspired by God's word, or whatever, you know, whatever. But you're the one creating that and feeding the motions of the brush, and this is all controlled. But we all seem to have this, you know, illusion. We all seem to be under the impression that we are all self-control. We all control our own self. But in society, it's like we're all affecting each other. But I don't let that shit affect me. I'm so true to myself. Apart from like, the food on my plate, I'm cooking here and that, you know, because I need it because I have to survive and I've got to go to work and whatever. Otherwise, but there's always a way. You can find a way to survive in life. But it's like you can work. If people out there living in nature, in forests and stuff, hunting and that, what was I saying, whatever. People complicate it. What I'm saying, it may be in the whole universe everything is connected. Did you ever think of that and we are just one thing? Maybe all of this is just an illusion, like a dream too. Maybe this is God's dream and we're just here now and we just, when he wakes up we just be disappeared now. Maybe you are not thinking what you're thinking now, but you are the thought or the mind of somebody else, you know, the word, a character in someone's mind. The Truman Show, I know all this stuff. Maybe this is just a book. Maybe we're going to get to the... Maybe it's just one person's life, this whole thing is just imagining. Maybe it's just you. Maybe you are God. And you're experiencing all these kind of things, pain, pleasure, whatever, through the eyes of all these other human beings. Maybe there is no such place as other countries or other parts of the world. Maybe it's just all an illusion. Maybe you just think, maybe it's like the Matrix, the program. You know, maybe it's just beyond the machines and high tech, beyond spiritual, beyond whatever you can imagine now. Maybe it's really, really deeper than that. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's, but for the most part, we're all here, we all feel we're living separate lives, we're all communicating with each other. We study from the reality we see, right? And we study science, fair enough, to understand it better, to make our lives better. You know, what do you call it, medicine or whatever, and technology, you know, for us, you know, make our lives easier in terms of like, more better. We've got to stay strong enough, we've got to stay sensible about it, that's what I say. Thanks for watching. Thank you guys. Thank you for such a long time with me. Okay, I hope anyone's got any thoughts on that. I don't know, man, but regardless of what it is, it's all beautiful and life is wonderful and to be valued, I feel, as a human being, from a human point of view, and moral and all that. And love life, live it to the full, do what you want, don't waste time. Even talking to a camera like this, you know, do something you want to do, I'm saying. Do something worth, okay? Not something worse, okay? Take care, guys. Thank you all. You're all great.